Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to do a quick comparison between the Motorola G9 Play and the Motorola G30. Now the reason I'm doing a quick comparison between these two phones is they share the same Snapdragon 662 processor and the same 720p display, but other than that they have a lot of differences. So without further ado, let's dive into this comparison. Now right off the bat, both of these phones are made of plastic, which is to be expected at their very low asking prices. When the G9 Play was available at Argos here in the UK, it was just £99. Now, I think it's out of stock in a lot of stores, so getting hold of one might be a bit tricky from there. And the G30 is available at around £160, so they're both very cheap phones, as Motorola is very well known for. So let's just dive into the G9 Play. Now, like I said, it's got a Snapdragon 662 processor. It's got 4GB of RAM and 64GB of internal storage. Up front, you get a 6.5-inch 720p display with a 60Hz refresh rate, and then up in the top, in the dewdrop notch design, you get an 8-megapixel selfie camera. On the bottom, you've got a relatively sizable chin, but again, at this price point, that's to be expected. On the bottom of the phone, you've got your USB-C charging port, speaker grill, and microphone. On the top, you've got your headphone jack. On the right of the phone, you've got your textured powered button, volume rocker, Google Assistant button, which I've never used. Let me know in the comments if you guys ever use them. And then on the left you've got your SIM tray, which houses obviously your SIM card, and you can expand that 64GB of storage as well. So, and then on the back you've got your fingerprint reader, which can be remapped to scroll down for your notifications if you're into that. And then at the top you've got your triple camera setup, which consists of a 48-megapixel main camera and then two 2-megapixel macro and depth cameras, and then you've got your LED flash as well. So to be honest, it's a really nice looking phone. I love this blue. I think it's really nice. Obviously it's going to be a bit of a fingerprint magnet. I did pick up a cheap case off Amazon for about £6. Slap it on the phone and it does the job, and it looks really nice. It's got good raised edges, so it helps to protect the display. I haven't actually put a screen protector on my G9 Play either, and at the moment 0 scratches, so it seems pretty durable, despite Motorola not actually putting any Gorilla Glass on their phones, or at least they don't tell anybody that it's Gorilla Glass. So now onto the G30, the same 6.5-inch 720p display, except this time this is increased to a 90Hz display as opposed to the 60Hz on the G9 Play. So that makes the user experience just a little bit smoother when you're flipping between apps. And then of course if you go into the developer options and switch the animation scale down to 0.5, opening everything is very quick. So no problems with either of these phones in my daily use. They've been absolutely fine. Up front, it's upgraded to a 13-megapixel selfie camera. So in terms of your selfies, you're going to get slightly higher resolution photos from the G30, and I have found in my experience that the quality of the photos from the G30 is definitely better than what you find on the G9 Play, and also the G10, which shares the same 8-megapixel camera than the G9 Play. So, and then on the bottom you've got again USB-C charging port, speaker grill and a microphone. At the top you've got another microphone and your headphone jack. Left you've got your textured powered button, volume rocker, Google Assistant button, and then on the left you've got your SIM tray, which again you can expand the storage of this 128GB model of the G30, and I have 4GB of RAM on this as well. There is a 6GB of RAM option for the G30 as well, but I did just pick up the 4GB model, and like the G9 Play, I haven't had any issues with performance on my day-to-day use. Now in terms of how this one looks, it's pretty decent. Depending on how the light hits it, it's got that purple sort of colour, and then it switches to kind of like a weird green sort of colour as well. So I actually really do like this. You've got your fingerprint sensor on the back again, which can be remapped to swipe down for your notifications. And then up here you've got a quad camera system, so you have a 64 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide f2.2, and then you've got your two megapixel macro and depth cameras. So in terms of everyday daylight photos, you'll be pretty hard pressed to know the difference. The whole 64 megapixel to 48, during the day you're not really going to notice the difference. It's just if you're going to blow the photos up, you will notice that the G30 photos are going to be higher resolution. The 8 megapixel ultra wide is a nice addition over the G9 Play. That is something that I wish the G9 Play did have. It just adds that area of flexibility. Now, thinking about it, of course, if you have a phone that doesn't have an ultra wide camera, you can of course get ultra wide shots from your main camera just using the panorama mode, which okay is a bit more of a faff to kind of hold the phone and go like that and sort of do that, but again you do accomplish that wider view with of course having the quality of the main sensor instead of the ultra wide sensor. So that's the hardware of both of these phones. Now in terms of daylight photos, I think that they both perform pretty similar. As you can see here, they've got good detail, good amounts of colour and all that sort of stuff. And of course when the light drops, that's when you get the reduction in quality of the photos, but that's not just restricted to these phones. That is the problem with all budget smartphones. Now with both of these phones you do get a dedicated night mode, which does help to bring out detail and the exposure of your photos in low light, so that's a nice addition to have. But in terms of everyday use during the day, both of these phones are absolutely fine. I did find with most Motorola phones that I've used over the past 6 months or so that the processing time when taking photos can be a few seconds. Now the only one that I haven't noticed it as much on is my new G60S, but in terms of using it on the other two, I have found that a sort of anywhere between 2 to 5 second wait while the phone processes the images can be a bit of a pain. And looking at the photos, or looking at what the photo is going to be on the screen before you snap the photo, you would think that the pictures are going to come out absolutely horrendous, but then once the phone processes the images, they do actually look a lot nicer. So that's my sort of quick comparison between the G30 and the G9 Play. Now, which one would I go for? It's quite a difficult one if I'm honest, because I think on Amazon you can get the G9 Play for around 120 quid. That's still a pretty good price for this phone and it looks really nice. But if you can stump up a little bit more, get the G30, because of course you get that ultra wide camera and you get that 90 Hertz refresh rate on the screen as well, which just makes the user experience a lot quicker than what you'll find on the G9 Play, and then you get the upgraded selfie camera as well. So if you can stump up the money, definitely get the G30, but if not, the G9 Play is absolutely fine, or even the G10, which will be around the same sort of money as the G9 Play, is worth looking at as well. And I almost forgot, battery sizes are exactly the same on both phones, so you get a 5000 milliamp battery on both, so you will get a full day, absolutely no problem. You can pummel these phones with a lot of gaming, camera use and all that sort of stuff, and you will easily get through a full day of use. If you're not a gamer, if you don't use the camera that much, or if you don't use your phone that much, then 2 days is absolutely doable. I did get 2 days from the G30 at one point. So let me know in the comments below what you think of either the G9 Play or the G30. Would you pick one of them? Would you pick none of them? Let me know in the comments what phone you would pick. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.